What happens if you hit black ice? God forbid, Hashem Yirachim. The first thing you're going to want to do is hit the brake. Let's do it in slow motion, right? You hit the black ice, chas v'shalom. Your car is out of control. What are you doing now? In slow motion, you're about to hit, you can't see my foot, but I'm going in slow motion to the brake, and then the person next to you says, wait, and they quickly Google, what are you doing here, black ice? And it says, whatever you do, do not hit the brake. What do you mean don't hit the brake? But then I'm for sure going to hit the car in front of me. Yes, you might hit the car in front of you, and it's dangerous. But if you hit that brake, you're going to spin. And if you spin, it's over. It's lights out for you and for everybody around. When kids are acting like this, and you can test it out, you know, you shouldn't have to test it out. The person guiding you should know, should be able to tell you what the reaction will be. I'm going to say it now again. I said it before, but I wasn't on video. These parents who called me up and they told me literally the destruction of their child from the beginning when the child started misbehaving until now where the kid is on the way to the psych ward, jail, stealing money, stealing cars, out of control, violent, cursing, breaking in to his house, breaking into neighbors. They created a monster of a kid that just 2 years ago, when the spiral started, until then, was a bubbala, shafla, sweetie pie. I said, when this kid was 8, 9, 10 years old, did you ever think that at 15, 16, this is going to be the kid at risk that they write about? They said, no, he's a sweet kid. I said, so you forgot who he is and what he's all about? So what happened? They started going for help, and the advice was, don't give him money. Don't give him money. What do you think is going to happen? So they don't tell you the result. They don't tell you. So the parents thought, we're not going to give him money. He's not going to buy weed. But that's not what happened. Surprise, surprise. It's not the Brady Bunch. It's not a television show for kids that everything works out beautifully. This is real life. They stopped giving him money. They lost the relationship with him, and then he started stealing money. He never stopped weed. When you fight, you skid, you spin, you lose all control. Now you have a lot more control. Like it says in the encyclopedia, or today it's called Wikipedia, when you hit black ice, it says turn into the skid. Eventually, by not hitting the brake, you'll slow down. You have the best chance of survival. It may not be perfect, but you have the best chance of survival. Once you hit the brake on these kids, unless, the person who's advising you is willing to tell you that I know what's going to happen, because I'm like, where's the responsibility? So right now they're up to hiring a transport team to take him against his will to a rehab for weed. We have hundreds of kids who got off weed without any rehab, but they're going to transport him against his will, right, which he's going to feel kidnapped. And they think, I'm like, just tell me, in the last 20 steps since you started getting advice, did the kid ever respond the way that they said that the kid's going to respond? Why didn't you give him money so he'll stop using weed? Did that happen? No. It made him steal. Why did you tell him that if you're not home by 12 o'clock, I'm going to lock you out? Because then he's going to start coming home on time. Did that happen? No. He started breaking in. Everything that they advised, why don't they tell you the downside? So I said, I'm not telling you what to do. But go back to the person who's advising you to do this and say, I just want to ask you. And we do this naturally by physical illness. God forbid someone needs an operation. What do you say? You say, what's the success rate and what's the downside? And then you decide, operate or not operate. Very simple. Some things it's better not to operate. If they tell you we have a 90% success rate, okay. If they tell you, well, we have a 10 to 20% success rate, but if it doesn't work, we have to amputate all your limbs. You should know that in advance. So before you take the advice of somebody who tells you to use rejection and control and criticism and all this stuff, I said, now you already did this spiral. You already look back and you realize every piece of advice they gave you, not only did they not predict what your kid's response would be, but it made your kid into an animal, hating you, vicious, anger, fighting, breaking walls, like just craziness, right? That's what you did. It's not the parents' fault. I said, you're such nice people. You just followed advice, just like I would do if I didn't have experience. But they went down the wrong path. So now that you're up to this, and you don't have to wait for that, start early. They give you advice. Say, okay, I hear you. We shouldn't give our kid money. We should lock the door. We should this, we should that. I hear you. I'm curious, what is going to be my kid's response? Because they have to know what the response is going to be. They're going to say, well, she might do this or she might do that. He might do this or he might do that. Then you say, fine, what are the odds? If they say they don't know, how could you not know? If you do this 100 times, you know what the odds are. So let's say they tell you, well, you know, there's a 20% chance that you stop giving her money and she stops using drugs. Then you say, okay, but what about the 80% chance? Well, the other 80% chance is that, God forbid, which happens, that she finds other methods of payment and she'll use drugs. Or she'll steal. Or some guy will end up paying for her and she'll owe that guy and have to return the favor. She'll find someone to get her what she needs. And you'll be like, whoa, that 80% chance is way worse than her having money and doing drugs. Oh, so give her money for drugs? Weigh the odds. Look and ask and be wise and say, what are the odds before we amputate our kid, before we lock the door, before we do anything that can cause a skid? What are the odds that it's going to work? If they don't know the answer, that's not a person with experience. If they tell you the answer, then you say, okay, and what if it doesn't work? What then? Well, then could be your kid's going to be on the street and is going to get into violence and crime and might end up in jail. Okay, well, maybe then I should do nothing. Maybe then, instead of hitting the brake and having a spin, maybe I'm doing more damage. Maybe right now I shouldn't do anything. Sometimes, until you get the right advice, we're not doing nothing. We're so busy doing and doing and doing to get them to not need the weed and not need the bad stuff. People who don't understand it, they're like, you're enabling them. No, we're disabling them. Just like we're disabling a car that's on a skid that's on black ice. Just everyone expects it to be like, as if you can stop this now. You cannot stop this now. You can stop it over time, and you cannot make it spin, and that's already a win. So think about black ice. We have no way. I've never seen anybody come up with a way to stop your son right now from the bad behavior, dangerous behavior that he's doing. We are successful over and over and over again. Baruch Hashem, B'li Ayin Hara, with Siyata D'Shmaya and the Tefillah in the room. We're successful, but it takes time. If someone has a quicker way to stop it, I will go and sit by their feet and pay. I've gone to people who and paid for sessions to learn what they have to learn. I will pay to learn any faster, better skill out there to help save your kids. Until then, be very careful. We're not hitting the brake, because the worst thing is a skid or a spin.